Hello, hello. Welcome to the Sticking Curiosity, a weekly podcast produced by Australia High School's broadcast journalism class.
Each week, we host conversations around the questions high schoolers want the answers to. We're your hosts for today.
I'm Jeremy.
I'm Starlin.
And I'm Israel.
And today we have a very special guest with us, Nick Aguilera, who's a Hesperia High School alumni.
And an MLB journalist.
So, Nick, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself for those who may not know you?
Yeah, of course. I am a writer-editor over at Major League Baseball Advanced Media. I'm going into my second season as a writer over there for MLB.com. I graduated from Hesperia in 2017. And from there, I went on to major in sports journalism at Arizona State University. And I graduated there in 2020. So yeah.
Wow, that's so
That's
exciting.
Pretty good.
Okay. So for our first question, we're wondering how did any of your high school experiences shape what you are doing today?
Yeah, I took journalism with Mr. Bostock, and that really helped me a lot. Going into high school, I really had no idea what I wanted to do in the future. And once I stepped into that classroom, it kind of just sparked something in me where I knew that I wanted to be a journalist in some capacity. And, you know, growing up, I always loved sports. I always loved watching baseball. It's my number one sport right now. Going into that class, it really just showed me that I can do this as a career. And it all started, you know, first day of freshman year when I was introduced to the class and I fell in love with it immediately.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of taking that journalism class, are there any memories that you have that are some of your best in that class that you took?
Yeah, there's a ton. Obviously covering football games every weekend. I think that the one that's probably sticks out the most for me would have to be the key game in 2016, where we as a crew decided to do a live coverage of the key game over at Sultana. And from there, we had a whole operation running where we had walkie-talkies, a golf cart going back and forth from a classroom, live updates, live feed of everything from the key game that year. And it was a big success, I think. Eventually, we lost key game, unfortunately, but you know, it was a lot of fun to really get that experience of covering live sports rather than, you know, how we would do it normally, where we go out to the game and by Monday we have an article out. But that one game was, I want to say it was the first time that we'd ever done live coverage like that on a sporting event at Hesperia. And it was a big rush. Everything was, you know, moving in 100 miles an hour. And it was just a ton of fun for me because, you know, eventually that's what I kind of got into in college, is where I was covering Arizona State baseball for a long time there. Oh, wow. And it was exactly like that, where, you know, you're going back and forth, you're talking to players after the game, set deadlines, everything like that. So that was really fun for me just to get that experience in high school.
That's awesome.
I know, it's really cool.
Were there any other electives that helped to get you where today?
Yeah, I took photography, and that has helped me a lot. When you go into journalism, you really need every skill that you can get. So learning photography gave me a big advantage when I got to Arizona State, because I knew how to take photos that looked good. I wouldn't say I was a professional, but you know, it helped me a lot to know how to shoot in manual mode, how to you know, capture things in motion, especially in sports where everything's constantly in motion. And just knowing that from the class at Hesperia that I took, it really helped me just a ton.
That's really cool.
Would you say that you could be a professional photographer if you were trying to switch from your profession?
I would say at this point I probably could, but it takes a lot of training. You know, it's a lot of patience with photography, and I don't have too much patience. So for me, writing is where I'm at, but if the opportunity ever came up to be a photographer, I would jump on it because, you know, I love photography. I love taking pictures. So yeah, I would definitely switch over if I had the opportunity.
Very cool. Very cool. What would you tell a student right now trying to get to where you are today? What advice?
Can you repeat that one more time, please?
What would you say to a current high school student looking to pursue a career in sports journalism?
Yeah, I would just say try everything. You know, you might not be the biggest fan of a sport. You might not be the biggest fan of baseball, but, you know, if you get the opportunity to go write about the game, go out and, you know, you might just fall in love with it. pretty much everything and anything looks good on a resume once you get to college. So if you want to, be a sports journalist, don't just limit yourself to one sport. Go after everything. Go after whatever you can, even if it's tennis, if it's volleyball. You might not be the biggest fan of the sport, but you'll fall in love with it. For me, I was never really a big fan of hockey, and in Arizona, I did some stuff for the hockey team, and it was a lot of fun because it's such a fast-paced sport. Compared to baseball, where it's pitch by pitch, hockey is just constantly in motion. Taking photos for that's what I did with them. It was a lot of fun, just because I was out of my comfort zone and I learned a new sport. And now to this day, I still watch hockey on TV just because my experience there.
That's really cool.
Awesome. So how long have you been working with the MLB now?
So I'll be going to my second season. I started last year in April, I want to say. I was mainly doing a lot of their fantasy stuff, but this year I'll be transferring more into a research position where I'll be helping, the beat writers with their research on players and, just random stuff that they come up with that they can't do themselves.
That sounds very exciting.
So,
wait.
so now that you have a year of experience under your belt, how competitive would you say it is in that zone?
Yeah, I mean, sports journalism is very competitive, but if you just put your head down and you know what you want to do, you can do anything. For me, I want to say when I was looking for a job right out of college, I applied for upwards of like 30 positions and I got interviews for maybe 5. And the MLB.com was actually the second one that I got offered. The first one was for a minor league team in Georgia, which I unfortunately didn't take. But, even if it's out of your comfort zone, sometimes you have to make the decision where if you want to do something and you have your mindset on it and something else comes up, you can, just say, no, I want this. I want to put my head down. I want to go straight for this right here. And that's kind of what I did. And I landed this job, and, it's been a great experience for me, helped me grow a lot over the past year.
What was your reaction to getting the MLB interview?
Just the interview alone was a lot for me because MLB.com has been my dream job, since I've been in high school. On my laptop, I have a big MLB.com sticker that I got, and I want to say 2015, 2016. So I've been working for this for, 5 years now. And, finally landing that dream job, even just the interview, was just elation for me. I was super excited.
Wow. So I went to a playoff game at Dodger Stadium, and I found one of your articles in the NLCS program. So I was just wondering, how did it feel to get the call from MLB saying that they want your article in their program?
Yeah, so that story was something that I actually pitched in September. So that was far before the playoffs even started. And I wrote it for the site. Everything that I write pretty much goes onto the website. So we don't have any print publications until the playoffs. So I got an email, I want to say in late September, early October, where they told me that, hey, we're going to use your article for the NLCS and ALCS program. And, for me, that was incredible because it pretty much just capstoned all the work that I've done all year. I was writing everything I could up until that point. And when I got the email, I was super happy because just seeing your work in print is a lot cooler than seeing it on a computer screen. Yes. So, for me, what I got the book, they sent me a couple actually, and, just seeing it myself, it just brings a smile to my face because, for me, I write specifically for site, and seeing it in print is just awesome. And see everyone else in the stadiums getting that program now has my name in one of those books, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, that's a huge accomplishment.
It must be like such a fulfilling little moment. Oh,
yeah,
no,
it is.
Huge moment.
It is. It's a little piece of my heart there.
Yeah. And after achieving my tongue got tired. After achieving the accomplishment of writing for the MLB, do you have any future goals, like further?
Yeah, I'd love to stay with MLB. Like I said, it's my dream job since I was in high school. But for me, just finding somewhere full-time in baseball is going to be my number one priority, whether that's with MLB.com or with a team. That's something that I've always wanted to do. I would like to work, like I said, I would like to work for MLB.com for the rest of my life. But, sometimes things come up, and that's not necessarily how things play out in this industry. So I would just say that, solidifying my spot as a full-time baseball writer or a full-time media relations person for a team would be awesome. And I think that's the end goal for me.
Would you like expand to other leagues like the NFL, like the NHL?
Yeah, if I had the opportunity, if something came up, I would love to work in the NHL, NBA. Those two are probably next two on my list that I'd like to work on. I'd like to try it at least once in my career. I don't know if that's going to be, coming up soon or after not after I retire, but after I get tired of baseball, maybe I want to switch over to hockey or even racing, like anything that comes up, I would love to do. But like I said, MLB is my first love. Baseball has always been my favorite sport. So just staying in there for life would be awesome for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what are the hours like being like a professional journalist? Like, do you get to work from home and stuff?
Yeah, so I get to work from home just because I am pretty much on call for other writers. I have to stay at my computer and do research for them through, whether that's through Elias Sports Bureau, which is a big company where we have to call and get the information from, or just straight from the MLB's research tools. So I stay home, but for a beat writer, which would be traveling all over, they stay with the team. They go to different cities pretty much every week. So I'm lucky that I do just get to stay at home and work. It's 8-hour days, 40 hours a week. So just a normal full-time position. And, it's kind of random when I get days off too. So it's kind of adjusting on the fly to how my schedule is going to look week to week. One day I might get, or 1 week I might get the weekend off, and then the next week I have only Wednesday off. So it's a lot of adjusting on the fly to see how your week's going to play out. And it's, sometimes it can get a little confusing with the schedule, but you get used to it and you go through it.
That's cool.
That's great. So as you can say you're an official MLB insider. What do you think about the lockout going on right now?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm an official insider just yet. Hopefully I get to that point, some point in my career. But right now, the lockout, it's a lot of talking. I can't really say much on it just because the nature of how the unions are negotiating. I don't really think there's much I can say that would, bring any insight to it because I'm not in those meetings, obviously. So yeah, it's going to be a long process, but eventually something will be done.
Nice.
Is your work like benefiting off of the lockout? Are you like more to write?
There's been a lot less, I would say. So I haven't really been too much in the loop over the past couple months just because we can't do anything with the players right now. That's pretty much all I can say. I mean, there's nothing really that I can do to make it better, or, it's all up to the league how we operate during this time.
So when you were in high school and you're in Mr. Bostock's class, did you ever like question yourself and say, maybe I want to get out of journalism?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been points in my career where I've asked myself that. Even, in high school, yeah, I'd be like, is this really what I want to do? Is this really something I want to go to college for? Eventually I said yes. And then once I got to Arizona, sometimes that would probably come up a little bit more because, just trying to get a job is a little grueling. But once you find a rhythm, once you find something that you can, zero in on and go straight after it, it's a lot easier to, block out the doubts that you have of yourself. So I would say that, yeah, there's been points like that, but it's just about, if you really want it, you will, you'll come to your senses and keep it in mind that, hey, this is what you went to school for 4 years. Do you really want to just throw it away? And do you really want to just, go a totally different route for something that you didn't study?
You guys have anything else to say? So Dang, I was gonna say something, but I forgot what I was gonna say.
No.
This
I
is-
know. I got nervous.
Is like what's the difference between like high school journalism and like college journalism? Is it like harder? 'Cause I'm guessing it is harder from college to high school.
Yeah, it does get a little bit, there's a little bit of a gap of how hard it had the difficulty, but the same basic principles are there from high school to college. I would say in college, you probably have a little bit more freedom. You can talk about whatever you want pretty much. In high school, you're pretty much limited to, what's going on around the school, what's going on, movies and professional sports. But in college, you have a lot more opportunities. There's a lot of clubs on campus that you can get involved with that deal with different things, whether that's entertainment, even there's differences between the sports. If you want to do just the big team sports like football, basketball, baseball, you can get involved with that. But if you want to do, some of the smaller sports, there's clubs for that as well. So yeah, like I said, more freedom in college, but even in some of my internships in college, I was still doing the same things that I was doing in high school. I was going to high school football games on Friday nights, covering those. I guess the only difference is you're doing it for a little bit more prestigious media that would maybe get your name out there a little bit more than high school. But in high school, it's still just learning the basic fundamentals, and those carry over to college, and they really do help you a lot. Because when I got there, not many people going into the profession have prior experience. They may have some writing experience, through creative writing, but if you want to get into journalism and you want to do it early, it just gives you every advantage in the book, and you pretty much go into freshman year of college knowing pretty much everything, because Bostock knows he was also in college at one point. He knows how it's like, and he will help you, prepare yourself if you really want to do this.
Was it more fun in college and high school?
Just because there's more freedom, I would say there was. I covered everything from MLB games to high school, like I said, and in high school you don't really get those experiences, but in college, once you step into an MLB press box for the first time, that's when you just realize like, hey, this is super cool. This is a moment that I'll never forget. And I remember stepping into my first press box out there, and it was incredible. It's a lot to take in when that's something that you've worked for 5+ years, and yeah, it's a lot more fun, I would say.
How long would you say it took for you to wrap around your head that you're actually like in this position and you're actually there now?
I would still say I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. I still can't believe it. But in all seriousness, the first 2 months, I would say I was probably like, wow, I'm actually working for Major League Baseball. This is, my dream since I was a kid. But once I got to know everyone there, they're all super helpful. I kind of got in my comfort zone, and from there I was, growing as a person and as a journalist. And yeah, I would say just the adjustment period was probably a little bit too long, in my opinion. I probably should have been ready to go after a month or a couple weeks, but just it's still surreal to me that I get to work for MLB.
Yeah, that's definitely amazing. So I understand that your mom still works at Hesperia High School. So do you ever come and like visit Mr. Bostock or anything? Would you ever like come talk to the journalism students and like give them a role model?
Yeah, I would love to come back. I've gone, I think, a couple times when I came back from college, but ever since I've been back from Arizona, it's been kind of tough because of COVID. But once everything's sorted out, I would love to come back and talk to students. And yeah, my mom does work there. She works in the counseling office. For anyone that knows Miss Tammy, go say hi. Tell her Nick sent you. But yeah, I would definitely love to come through.
That's really cool.
That would be very awesome to have you here. Hopefully soon.
Yes, and then we can.
Yeah, hopefully. I'd love to come out, like I said.
That would be cool.
So taking journalism, you took it all 4 years of your high school years, right?
Yes, I did.
So would you say that it really like helped on your college application?
I would say so. But the thing is that if you really want to do it, it's never too late. I know people that came in junior or senior year and they loved it. And I think that some of them may have gone on to college to do journalism. But, staying in all 4 years, it does help your writing. It helps you write out your essays for college applications as well. You just get those word skills that you need to impress people and, talk to people professionally. So I would say that if you want to do it from freshman year, that's great. But if you want to just go in if you want to try something new junior, senior year also, that works too. I mean, it's never too late to start.
Nice. And how long did you go to college for journalism?
I graduated in 3.5 years. So I had some credits that carried over from AP classes, and I also took classes at BBC over the summer. So my main goal was just to get out before the baseball season started in 2021, just so I could get a head start on trying to find a job in baseball. And unfortunately, COVID took away a lot of opportunities that may have been there in a normal year. But I still got lucky enough to land where I am today.
That's great to hear, though.
I know.
After being in during high school, after being in the class for 4 years, did you ever get tired of it during your junior year or senior year?
I think anytime you do something for a long time, you do tend to get into a little bit of a drag. But for me, it was always just finding more motivation. Whenever I got, down in the dumps, or I just wanted to, just got a little lazy, I would just find something fun to write about, whether that was, about a video game that came out, doing a review on that, or doing an editorial on something I was passionate about. And it just sparked again right then and there. You just have to find something that you want to do rather than forcing yourself to do something that you don't want to, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's very cool.
I like that idea. I like that.
So Miss Tammy is actually my teacher. And so she's told me a little bit about you. And so from my understanding, you've actually met and Blake Snell. So how is that? How is he?
Yes. So I started helping him with his Twitch stream. I want to say sophomore year of college. He does his Twitch stream where he plays, MLB The Show, Call of Duty. And I met him in Las Vegas for the winter meetings that same year. And he's such a cool guy. He's helped me a lot, actually, just by helping me get stuff done for MLB. But it's just that's just the nature of an industry, really, is where you never know where you're going to find people that are going to help you out, or you're going to make a connection there. I was literally doing a report on MLB player Fortnite tournament when I met him, and it turned into I've been helping him for 4+ years now. I've kind of had to, since the lockout happened, I've kind of had to step back for a little bit, just because we're not supposed to have any contact with the players at the moment. But yeah, I helped him since, I want to say, January of 2018 or 2019. And ever since then, he's a cool guy. He's really, really fun to talk to. Really, I've played games with him. I've played MLB The Show against him, and just playing MLB The Show against the Cy Young Award winners, kind of crazy.
That's awesome.
But yeah, like I said, you just make so many connections, and you never know where they're going to come from, even if they're athletes or journalists. Everyone's a person. Everyone, just because they're an athlete doesn't mean that you have to hold them on a pedestal. They're still people just like you. You can go ahead and talk to them, and sometimes you just make that connection.
So does he ever talk to you, talk about you on his Twitch streams, or does he follow you on Instagram or Twitter or anything like that?
Yeah, he follows me on Twitter. So I'm always in his Twitch stream if you want to go check it out. And I just help him on there, help him with setting up some of the computer stuff. But yeah, he follows me on Twitter. We talk from time to time. Like I said, since the lockout's happening, I haven't really been able to have much contact, just because the nature of the lockout.
Yeah.
But yeah, we talk pretty often, and it's pretty cool.
That's really cool.
So you said you met him at the winter meeting?
Yeah, the winter meetings.
Your sophomore year of college?
Yeah, I think so.
So at that time you weren't working with the MLB, right?
No, at that time I was working for a college baseball newspaper. I guess it was a site, not a newspaper, but we were just in the winter meetings just to make connections, talk to the other journalists that are there, and we found out about this Fortnite tournament. And when we got there, there was no media. We were the only media there.
Wow.
So we pretty much had free reign to talk to anyone we wanted to,
Wow.
as long as we weren't bothering them.
Yeah.
And so we talked to guys like Eduardo Rodriguez,
Oh, wow.
Brendan Rodgers, who plays for the Rockies. Just a bunch of different guys were there, and Blake Snell was hosting the tournament. So we talked to him. We also talked to Brett Phillips, who's probably the nicest person I've ever met. He plays for the Rays, if you guys don't know. And he's just, it's so weird talking to him because he is just so funny and so charismatic that he's probably my favorite player I've ever talked to just because of his personality. But yeah, like I said, we were working for college baseball paper, and just by chance that we went to this Fortnite tournament, and it turned out to be one of the best experiences I've had in journalism.
That's awesome. So you said Brett Phillips is probably the nicest person you've ever met.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Would you say he's also the best pitcher you've ever met?
Oh.
Yeah, I would say he's better than Snell.
I think he definitely is. So do you know if anybody who was at that Fortnite tournament, the media with you, do you know if any of them are working in the MLB with you or like in any other agencies like that?
Yeah, so with the site that I was with, a couple of them actually went out and started working for MLB teams. I know someone's working with the Rangers right now as an analytics person.
Oh, wow.
As for the people that I was working with at that time, I don't think any of them are in MLB at the moment, but I know that they're working, professionally as journalists. I know one of them is working in Denver right now for one of their papers out there, one of the major papers out there. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Is there like any specific team you want to work for?
I grew up an Angels fan, so working for the Angels
Oh,
would be a dream.
yeah.
But in this industry, you can't really be picky. So even if I got an offer from the Dodgers, I'd kind of have to take it. Even though I grew up,
Yeah.
not the biggest fan of them. I can't really say that. I just like them on here, else they might not hire me. But yeah, in this industry, you can't really be picky, so I have to take anything. But the dream job would to be working for the Angels.
Of course.
That would be cool.
That made him upset. He's
I know,
he's a
I am a
Dodgers
Dodgers
fan.
fan.
Yeah, I've heard.
So if there was another dream job that you had besides journalism, what would you say it would be?
Besides journalism, that's a tough one. I never really thought about that actually. I'm not athletic enough to do anything in sports. Probably, I don't know. It's something that I never really thought of. I'd love to be a professional chef.
Ooh.
I'd love to learn how to cook. I don't really know how to cook at the moment, but
Oh, yeah.
learning how to make food would be awesome.
That would be really
That would
cool.
be awesome. So do you know if anybody else from your journalism classes in high school, and do you know if they've made it in journalism?
Honestly, I don't really know.
Yeah.
That
I kind of just, zeroed in on myself for the past couple of years, where I'm just focusing on getting that job for myself.
That's
I
all.
would love to hear that if there's someone out there that has, I'd love for them to get in contact with me so I can, talk to them. But honestly, I just have not kept up.
So who would you say is like the coolest person you've met that has helped you get to where you are today, or the most influential person?
Most influential, I would say Boss Talk is definitely up there. He's helped me a lot. I still talk to him to this day.
Wow.
Through
Very cool.
through everything. One of my teachers in Arizona was the vice president of communications for the Diamondbacks, and he now works as the president of communications for the National Baseball Hall of Fame. He was pretty influential for me. He showed me like that there's so many different options rather than just writing. And yeah, he was pretty influential for me. A couple other teachers in Arizona that helped me, grow. But other than that, yeah, I would say that Boss Talk is up there. Josh Roch, who's the guy that I mentioned earlier, is up there, and a ton of the other teachers that just helped me through everything.
So did anybody help you actually like get the job at MLB, or was it all on your own?
it was pretty much all on my own.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
That's very
Good job.
impressive.
it was like I said, I applied for maybe 30 plus jobs and got interviews for 5 of them, and MLB just happened to be one of those. It's pretty much on a whim that I applied because I was getting rejected by anyone. Like I was getting rejected by every sports team imaginable. Pretty much the only ones that I got interviews for were all minor league teams, and only 2 of them were minor league baseball. The rest of them were soccer, or I think one was lacrosse, and I don't even know anything about lacrosse. But yeah, I pretty much applied on a whim, and I got an interview somehow, and I'm grateful that I did. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
How was that interview with MLB? Like, was it like this over like Zoom or something like that, or was it like in person?
Yeah, initially it was a call. So I talked with one of the guys there, and then my current boss set up a Zoom with me and had me do pretty much like a test at school you would do. I had to write an article about, a hypothetical article about a player signing, and do some research stuff, finding players who might break out for that season. And it was just like a 6-question assessment that maybe took me an hour or 2. And I had to do that over Zoom pretty much. And then, yeah, it was probably the weirdest interview I've done, just because, they gave me a test. Most of the time it's just talking like this over Zoom. But that one, they put me to work right away.
So did you get like a sense of satisfaction when you got denied by all those like other 25 teams, but the MLB wanted you?
Yeah, it was a huge relief, because just that burden over my shoulders of, where am I going to be next year? Am I going to be in the middle of nowhere working for a minor league hockey team, or am I going to be, in Arizona working at Starbucks? Like I had no idea at that point. But once I did get that interview with MLB and they said, hey, we want you to, be one of our writers, it was just a flood of relief. I was so happy that I finally not only just got a job with MLB, but just that I got a job because at that point, I'd graduated, I was ready for the next thing, and it took maybe 4 months before I finally landed something.
How did you handle the rejection?
In the beginning, it was a lot because, working your first full-time job, it's pretty scary, just because, you're not really ready for it, I would say. But once you get a couple shifts under your belt, you start to get a lot more comfortable. But mainly my thing at the beginning was just, I hope I don't screw up and put something on the website I'm not supposed to, because, that's going out to millions of people each day. So that was my main concern when I first started, and that was what I was scared of. It's just, what if I put something wrong on the website and they fire me? But luckily they were very understanding, and they coached us through everything, and everything went pretty smooth. And then once I got through the first month or 2, I was pretty comfortable there.
So you would you say you have more of a sense of security now than you did when you first started?
Oh yeah, I would say that right now I feel a lot more comfortable than I did when I started. Going into the season, I'm going to be hitting the ground running, doing pretty much what I was doing at the end of the season. Ramp up as soon as the season starts, and I'll be ready to go.
And what are your biggest goals for this next upcoming season, if there is one?
I think is just to, write as much as I can. Last year, I didn't really write too much. So this year I want to be a little bit more proactive in pitching stories and getting people to read what I have to say. So I think, just getting more content out would be goal number 1. Goal number 2 is to have a more of a sense of security after the season, rather than just working through the season. I'd rather work, through the off season as well. So that's going to be my biggest thing for me.
That would be nice.
Just out of curiosity, how did you fall in love with baseball?
Ever since I was a kid, I played the game. I would say a big reason for it was the High Desert Mavericks, the old minor league team that used to be here. I used to go to the games all the time when I was a kid, and I think that's just where I fell in love with it. I want to say when I was 11 years old, I met Mike Trout there, when
Oh,
he was with the Angels
oh.
single A team.
Got a picture of
And I
him?
think that was a big moment where it sparked me for like, hey, I love this sport and like I want to be around it forever. Um, so yeah, I would say that just playing the game and going to Maverick games while I was a kid, pretty much just perfect combination of things that made me fall in love with it.
That's awesome. Did you ever play baseball as a kid? Like, did you play for the high school?
Yeah, I didn't play for the high school. I played golf for high school
Oh, wow.
because my grandpa got me into golf when I was in high school, and I played for 3 years from sophomore to senior year. But I played baseball pretty much throughout up until I want to say since I was like 6 years old, probably even younger, till I was about 16. And then once I got to college, I joined the Arizona State club baseball program for a couple months. And then COVID hit, and unfortunately couldn't play much. But yeah, I played baseball pretty much my whole life, I want to say.
Wow,
That's
really
awesome.
cool.
And what position did you play?
I was mainly an outfielder just because, I'm not the most athletic out there. So it stuck me in right field. But I'd like to think that as I got older, I got better out there.
Yeah, because you see the bats behind you.
Yeah.
You still play now?
Every once in a while, I'll go out, hit some balls, but kind of tough now just because, I don't really think there's many organized leagues for guys like me. 23-year-olds trying to play little league. I don't think that would go over well.
You start one. Yeah.
You guys don't ever have like a team bonding baseball game with the MLB journalists?
No, because we're all so spread out.
Right,
So
yeah.
everyone's in different areas. If I was in New York, there would definitely be more opportunities because that's where the league offices are. And I bet you anything they have pickup games every once in a while. But since I'm all the way in California, I'm pretty much one of the only ones on the West Coast. So
Wow.
so that's why not really much in-person bonding with my coworkers. It's mainly over Zoom.
So you like talk to your coworkers often?
Yeah, I'll message them on Slack, or I'll, every week we'll have a Zoom recording, a Zoom meeting, and, we'll just talk things over. But for the most part, it's just mainly professional through Slack and Zoom.
Have you ever been to like the main headquarters in New York?
I've not. I've never even been to New York. So, I'd love to. But at this point, I don't think there's really not much need for me to go there, I would say. I got everything I got right here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
for
Thank you.
this
Very-
episode.
No problem, guys. It was pleasure being here. Thank you guys for having me.
Of course.
All right, thank you for joining us. Congratulations so far on everything you've accomplished.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We hope to see more of your articles in the
Yes.
MLB.
Yeah, hopefully just look out from this season. Hopefully I'll get into the World Series program this
Yeah.
time.
That
You
would be awesome. Well, we all just want to congratulate you on everything you've done.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it's amazing that you are an alumni here and you actually are still talking to Mr. Bostock. You're here all 4 years in journalism and you went to Arizona College and now you're in the MLB. That's like a fairy tale story. That's
Yeah, I mean, not often that people, from that, not often that people get to do this, for almost the better part of 10 years now. And I'm not even 24 yet. I'm 23. So, I'm hoping that it keeps going. Hopefully I find something that'll keep me interested and keep me engaged for the rest of my life. So, we'll see.
Do you think it was harder to get your name out since you're like in the high desert where there's not really that big name stuff?
I think with the internet now, you can do anything. So, if you want to, write a blog, if you want to get involved on Twitch, I think Twitch is a great platform. Like if you just want to talk baseball with people, just log on to there, kind of build an audience through a blog, through Twitter. With the internet, you can talk to anyone from any part of the world now. So I think that no matter where you live, you can make a name for yourself.
That's great. That's awesome to hear.
Very motivational.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're definitely a role model here for some of us. It would be awesome if you did come visit the journalism class. I think they would really love that.
Yeah, I hope I can. Like I said, with COVID, it's a little bit tricky right now, but hopefully soon I'll be out there.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Yep.
much for joining us.
Yep. Thank you guys for having me.
Alright.